So back again with another lesson that is related to it is going to be about the third section, which is dedicated to reading skill, in which we're supposed to do the following before you read and to be introduced to the theme. Guess what will cause the following predictions. So these are predictions for things that are predicted to happen in the future, in the near future. Polar bears. Here we have polar, which is an adjective from the noun pole. In the northern and southern parts of Earth, we've got poles in which we have ice. So polar bears and penguins, bears and penguins, the animals that live in poles, will disappear. This is something that is expected to happen in the future. Winters will be 10 degrees colder. Imagine in places that are colder than ours, their places during winter are already cold, and winters will be 10 degrees colder than they are now. Africa will be hotter and suffer more droughts. But other places are going to be hotter. Some places colder, some places hotter. And these places, especially in Africa, are going to suffer from droughts. Droughts are long periods in which there is little or no rain at all. So no precipitation, no rain for a long time is called drought, which is a noun from the adjective dry, as opposed to the adjective wet when it rains or snows. The fourth, skin cancer will increase. The number of people having skin cancer is supposed to increase because of the solar rays that come from the sun, and that is going to happen more often. 5, many countries will have no drinking water because of droughts, as we've seen the word. Little or no rain. Many countries are going to suffer from the lack of or shortage of drinking water, and that is a very big problem. In 6, countries such as the Maldives, Holland, and Bangladesh will disappear underwater because when ice in poles melts, it is going to go to seas, and seas are going to disappear. Seas and oceans are going to get higher and higher, and that is going to submerge and inundate many countries such as the Maldives, Holland, and Bangladesh. Moving on to 7, wars will start between countries fighting over water, because many countries are going to face the problem of having no drinking water, and of course water is something that is vital and very important. Many countries are going to fight over water to have access to lakes, maybe, or to rivers, which are the source of drinking water. So guess what will cause all these predictions, all these problems? Rising sea levels, melting ice in poles, is all related to the weather getting hotter and hotter every year, and that is what we call the global warming phenomenon. I think we got the definition of which. Polar bears and penguins, the explanation, that live in poles are in danger of extinction. Extinction is when there is no more of that kind of animals or plant species. Because ice, where they live, we're talking here about polar bears and penguins, is slowly disappearing as global temperatures rise annually. As a result of climate change, some places will get colder while other places will be much hotter. Besides, many countries such as the Maldives, Holland, Bangladesh are going to be flooded by rising sea water because of ice melting in both poles. Because of the ozone layer depletion, the depletion in the ozone layer somewhere over the north and southern parts of Earth, more harmful rays that are harmful. They are going to cause harm, no benefit. More harmful rays from the sun will reach Earth, and that will cause more skin cancer cases. And these solar rays will be trapped inside the atmosphere, will be trapped in here, below the atmosphere, and that is what we call the greenhouse effect, which will mean and result in a hotter climate. As you can see in the picture in here. Next. The ozone layer depletion, when we have a depletion in the ozone layer, is becoming and getting thinner and thinner, is getting smaller and thinner. So radiation from the sun, solar radiation, solar rays, are going to get right to us, right to Earth, because there is a hole in the ozone layer. Ultraviolet rays will reach Earth directly. So here we got the ozone layer, the atmosphere below it, and then Earth that is going to be in danger of getting these rays because of the ozone hole. As you can see here, ice is going to melt, and polar bears, the animal we have in the picture, and penguins too, are going to face the problem of having no habitat. They're losing their habitat because of melting ice where they live. So as a result of higher temperatures, droughts will be more common, and thus as a result people will have less drinking water, which in turn will cause more conflicts, more wars over water sources. For water scarcity is one of the major threats. We're using here for as with the same meaning of because. Water scarcity is one of the major threats for humanity in the near future. Back to the book. Here's the text. I'm reading it quickly. Findings, the results of research. Finding from a new study released last week prove the verb from proof. They give us results for certain. We are certain about that, and that's what is the meaning of the verb prove. That global warming is caused by human activity and not by natural environment factors. Many people prefer to believe that global warming is caused by environmental factors, which is not the case. Researchers at the Scripps Institute of Oceanography have found clear evidence of human-produced warming in the world's oceans. Oceans are getting warmer. That might not be difficult, that might not be dangerous for many, but it is. That is likely to impact water resources in regions around the globe. These findings remove much of the uncertainty associated with debates about global warming, because people did not believe that global warming is caused by humans and not by environmental factors, which has been proven lately. Many world leaders have closed their ears to this fact so that they don't have to limit their economic activity or introduce expensive pollution controls. Many world leaders, such as the current president of the United States, Donald Trump, who is backed by rich businessmen who have businesses that cause pollution. He says that global warming is natural, is caused by environmental factors, but that is not the case. He wants people to believe that global warming is caused by environmental factors so that he does not have to oblige these businessmen who are spending money on his campaigns to to make restrictions for the production of their factories and companies, and they do not like taxes that governments put. I apologize. They do not like the taxes that governments put on them. So many world leaders have closed their ears. They refuse to believe to these facts, so they don't have to limit their economic activity or introduce expensive pollution controls. This is one of the reasons America has not signed the Kyoto Treaty on climate change. The US government prefers to believe global warming is a natural phenomenon caused by volcanoes and solar energy. Professor Tim Barnett said, "This is perhaps the most compelling evidence, the evidence that was the result of this research, yet, up to now, that global warming is happening right now, and it shows that we can successfully simulate its past and likely future evolution using computers." Barnett says, "The results hold implications for millions of people in the near future. In the decades immediately ahead, in the coming decades, the changes will be felt in regional water supplies, including areas impacted by accelerated glacier melting in the South American Andes and in Western China, putting millions of people at risk without adequate summertime water. Perhaps now more countries will sign up the Kyoto Protocol." This text was written before the election of President Donald Trump, who withdrew from the Kyoto Protocol and refused to sign it again, which is a major setback for the whole world, because America is one of the biggest countries that are polluting the environment. So moving on to the questions, find in the text the synonyms of the following words: affect, which is a verb; doubt, to have suspicion, you are not sure about someone or something, a noun. It could also be used as a verb. Research, in the first paragraph; consequences or results. Sufficient, which is a noun; sufficient, which is a verb, which is enough, something that is enough. Quickened, made more quick by something else. You can find the answers in here in the document. As you can see, you can pause the video or download the document itself, which you will find attached to the video. Back to the comprehension questions. So we're supposed to find out whether these statements are true or false based on the text. Global warming is caused by natural environmental factors, and we said that it is not, because, and that was has been proved by scientists lately. You can also find the answers in here. So that is the third. As you can see, the statements. Then the true or false with the justification in which line. L for line. As you can see, you can find the answers. I'm going just to explain the statements. Clear evidence, clear proof, PROOF, of a human-produced warming is in the world's rivers. Well, it is not in rivers, but in oceans. Global warming is not likely to impact water resources around the globe. That is false. It is going to do that. Billions of people will be at risk of having inadequate water supplies. Yes. Many world leaders have ignored global warming, and that is unfortunately the case. They did. Prepare 2 questions you'd like to ask a classmate about the article. I'm going to skip that. Match the following phrases to get meaningful expressions. Researchers have found clear evidence in the decades that are coming decades immediately ahead, putting millions of people at risk. Water supplies, resources, findings from a new study, the result of when you study something thoroughly and deeply, you will have findings and find new results. Future evolution of global warming and how it is going to be how it is going to happen. That is, here we're talking about its future evolution. Do you think global warming is a natural phenomenon or caused by man? While we are having, we have the complete answer in here. I believe that global warming is made by man, as was shown by most scientific researchers. I believe in science, and I find its views about global warming convincing. Back to the books, moving on to grammar. The changes will be felt in regional water supplies. More countries will sign up the Kyoto Protocol. This is something that is expected to happen. Do you think the writer expects that the action will take place in the future? We hope that many countries will sign, but this is something that is expected. Can you replace will by going to? Well, we can't, because they have two different meanings. Here they are. Will is used to talk about habitual actions that are used as a habit in here. You have the example of birds that will come back next year because they do that every year. Making a promise. I'll finish this work by 7 tonight. Making an offer, offering to do something to someone, or something that is expected, as we've seen earlier. A prior plan. To talk about a prior plan, we used to be going to, as in I'm going to meet them at the airport, because we have a plan to do that. Prediction. Look at those clouds, it is going to rain. I'm basing my prediction on the clouds that I see. Commands, orders, and refusals. To refuse to do something. You are going to take that medicine. I'm ordering you to take that medicine, whether you like it or not. And last, a permanent state. Their new house is going to look over the river. This is its place, and it is going to do that all the time. Moving on to the next page. If, in groups, discuss whether you will carry out the following actions to help slow down global warming. We got some steps that can be done to curb the pollution, air pollution, and the rest. Practicing related grammar points. Moving on to the next things. Here they are. After you read. Things we can do to protect the environment and save nature as individuals, people like you and I. These are things we can do. Examples of things, of course, not everything. Companies, firms, factories, corporations, and businessmen. Here they are. I'm back. I had some kind of technical problem. So as we said, here are the things we can do as individuals, people like you and I, as companies, corporations, and businessmen who have firms and factories. They can do lots of things, such as the following. And last, the media. Here we're talking about TV and radio stations, and people who own them. They can do the following things. Governments and officials, of course, people who work in governments, presidents, prime ministers, cabinet ministers, they can all do something for the environment, because they are the ones who are responsible for everything that is going on in their nations or states. Governmental and non-governmental organizations. Some organizations are part of governments and owned and directed and managed by governments, but some are not. These we call them NGOs, or non-governmental organizations. They can make sensitization campaigns to sensitize people, and the rest you can read them on your own, or download or pause the video, and you can download the whole document that you'll find attached to this video. These are just examples of things we can all do to protect the environment, but of course there are other things that people can do to protect the environment and nature. Back to the book. Here we have practicing related grammar points. You can use either be, going to, or will, depending on the meaning that is in question. you can go back to the following table in here that will help you decide what to use, to be, going to, or will, depending on the meaning of the sentence. Is it a habitual action, making a promise, making an offer, something expected for will, or talking about a prior plan, a prediction, commands, orders, or refusals, or permanent state for to be, going to. You can also find the correction of that in here, in the following task. So the first, the third will be with I'm going to, but the rest we're going to use will, as you can see, according to the meaning of the sentence. Well, that is going to be all. Next time we're going to see the fourth section. Thank you and goodbye for now.